I feel like I'm the last man, left after the music stopped. A long time ago. The party has ended. Everyone I loved is gone. Even the ones I used to hate are all gone. My wife went first, then my friends, then even my enemies. Before they left, every single one of them asked me the same question. What's your secret, Henry? And I always gave them the same answer. Eat clean. I believed it. But then I realized a truth. The ones who ate perfectly, who exercised for hours every day and followed every rule, they left just as fast as the ones who didn't. So what was the real difference? I've had a lot of time to sit alone with that question, and the answer had nothing to do with what was on my plate. Diet was never the secret to a long life. I was wrong. After losing everyone I loved, I started noticing things that I had ignored before. My name is Henry. I just turned 104 years old. I spent 43 years of my life driving a bus. During all those years, through the rearview mirror, I watched thousands of faces pass by. I saw them in a hurry. I saw their anxieties, and I saw how time wore them down every morning. I still wake up at 6 o'clock. I make myself a hot cup of tea. I still sit in the exact same wooden chair I've used for over 40 years. But one thing has changed. The chair across from me has been empty for 12 years now. I don't bother moving it anymore. This house gets visitors often. Young reporters, doctors with their notebooks, or curious neighbors. They all want a list from me. They ask what I eat. Henry, how many hours do you sleep? Do you take any supplements? I answer them all, and they write it down. Very carefully, they leave with satisfied faces, believing they've found the secret. But if I only gave them that list, they would leave without understanding anything at all, because everyone has missed the point in all these decades. Not a single person has sat down and truly asked me, Henry, what kept you here when everyone else is gone? How do you wake up after 104 years and still find this life worth living? Those are the questions I've been waiting for. But it seems nobody cares about the why. They only care about what is on the plate. Maybe you're wondering about that list too. Fine, here's what I eat. Every day, a bowl of hot oatmeal. Every morning, fresh fish a few times a week. Some bread, green vegetables from my small garden, tea and water. I don't use energy powders or expensive vitamins. And I'll confess, one thing sometimes, I still have a piece of sweet pie. After dinner, on cold winter nights, I still sip a small glass of wine. I never starved myself. I never punished myself for enjoying something I liked. I've seen so many people turn food into a religion. They are obsessed with counting every calorie. They live in guilt every time they sit down at the table. They fear that a single piece of fat will shorten their lives. In my experience, most of those people were miserable, and miserable people usually don't live very long. A long time ago, a confident young doctor told me that my cholesterol would take me out before I reached 60. In the end, I was the one who outlived him. When I went to the hospital and heard that he had passed away, I didn't know what to say. I just kept quiet and went home. Write down this list if you want. It's real. But what I'm about to say next is far more important than any food list. Nutrition is only a very small piece of the whole picture. I gave everyone that list, and they left happy. But the truth is, they all completely missed the point. There was one man I never forgot. That was Dr. Harris, a leading cardiologist. He understood the human body better than anyone. Every day, he spent hours advising patients on how to protect their hearts. He wrote books, gave lectures, and held all the knowledge about health. Once, when we were sitting together, I asked him a sincere question. "Doctor, do you actually follow all the advice you give out?" He was silent for a long time. Then, he gave a small nod and said that he ate very clean. He also got enough sleep every night, but when I mentioned stress, he just gave a sad smile. He said that part was something he had never figured out how to control. Dr. Harris passed away when he had just turned 70. He had all the knowledge in this world. He knew exactly what was wearing down his body every day. He could name it. He understood its destructive power, but in the end, he still couldn't let it go. If a healthy food list alone could keep a person here, he should have lived forever. But that wasn't the case. The real answer for a long life doesn't sit on any plate. I only truly understood this because of Eleanor, my late wife. I realized that truth because of Eleanor. We were married for 61 years. I was a good husband by all the usual standards. I went to work every day, brought home money, and never neglected my family. But Eleanor often said something that I didn't fully understand. For many years, she would say, "Henry, you're sitting right here, in this chair, but your mind is still driving that bus. Please, come home for real." When I officially retired, I fell into a terrifying void. No more shifts, no set routes, no passengers waiting. I started spending my days just waiting for something to happen. I would wake up at 6, make tea, and sit in my usual chair. 1 month went by, like that. 2 months went by, like that. Eleanor would occasionally walk past and ask if I wanted more tea. I'd say yes. She would bring it. That was all that happened. In my long, endless days, my body was still healthy and my stomach was full of clean food. But the truth was, I was dying from the inside. If you have no purpose waiting for you the next morning, it means you are just waiting to leave. And your body will quickly pick up on that signal and begin to shut down. One morning, I walked into the garage without even thinking. It was filled with old things that had been gathering dust. For years, I saw Eleanor's broken radio. I picked up a screwdriver and started taking it apart. Then I fixed a stuck toaster, then a wobbly chair leg. 2 hours passed. In the blink of an eye, when I looked up, Eleanor was leaning against the door, watching me. It was the look of a woman who had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. I realized I wasn't just sitting there, waiting for death anymore. I had found a reason to move my hands. A purpose in life doesn't have to be something grand or big. It just needs enough strength to pull you out of that chair. Every morning, for me, at that time, it was simply a small garage with things that needed fixing. Those small tasks saved my life. Since then, I started building small routines for myself. Every morning, I spend about 20 minutes taking my small dog for a walk around the neighborhood. I know every crack in the pavement and every tree along the road. Every afternoon at exactly 4 o'clock, I go out to sit on the porch. I watch the way the sunlight filters through the leaves, a moment that repeats as precisely as a perpetual machine. In the evening, I turn on the old radio to listen to the late-day news. Some of these things sound ridiculous and tiny. For example, stopping to argue with a neighbor about a football match or waiting for a flower in a pot to bloom. But it was these small things that kept me here. With this world, they gave my long days a destination to head toward. They turned time from a burden into a meaningful journey. If I just sat still in the dark and did nothing, my body would understand that it was no longer needed. The ones I saw go the fastest were the ones who gave up all purpose. The moment they left the office, they just sat down, and their bodies immediately picked up that cue. with stomachs full of clean food. They just drifted away, quietly forever. Eleanor has been gone for 12 years this October. It will be exactly 12 years and one day. One of the most painful parts of living this long is having to watch the years stack up and fade away. The first morning after she was gone, I woke up at 6 o'clock. Out of old habit, I went into the kitchen and made 2 cups of tea. I placed them both on the familiar wooden table. I sat there and stared at those 2 cups for a very long time. I couldn't drink mine, but I couldn't bring myself to pour hers out either. I just sat still and watched the steam vanish. The tea slowly went cold. The light in the kitchen began to shift from a pale yellow to a harsh white. Perhaps an hour had passed, or maybe more. At that moment, I suddenly realized my breath was still steady. I was still sitting here, still existing. A harsh truth emerged, that the new day would not stop to wait for me. The clock hands kept ticking, bit by bit. So I stood up. I went to the garage, cleaned up a few things, and took the dog for a 20-minute walk, as usual. When I returned, I picked up the phone to call my son, Daniel. We didn't say much, just scattered stories. In the middle of that ordinary and painful day, I found a small reason to keep going. That is the only secret I have. Every day, you have to find a reason for yourself. Sometimes it is small enough to fit right in the palm of your hand. Daniel, my son, is 76 years old now. He lives about an hour's drive from here. Last spring, Daniel called and said work was too busy lately. He promised to visit me as soon as things settled down and slowed a bit. I just answered him calmly. Daniel, I am 104 years old. Come now, or you come when I'm gone. Your call. He showed up that Saturday. We sat on the porch for 6 hours. Daniel told me things he had kept inside for 30 years, and I finally said things I should have said when he was 40. Now, Daniel visits every 2 or 3 weeks. Having loved ones around you is not a luxury. It is truly a vital part of staying alive. The connection between people is the string that holds us to life. I have to tell you the truth, because I am too old to lie. Part of living this long is luck. My father lived to 94. My grandmother passed 90 before she closed her eyes. My body was born with a good frame and favorable genes. I could tell you, it was all discipline or willpower, but that would be a half-truth, and half-truths are only for people who still have something to hide. My name is Henry. I have lived 104 years on this earth. This morning, I still woke up at 6, made my tea, and walked a little. I sat down in my usual chair, looked at the empty chair across from me, and said good morning, like I do every day. Eat real food, move gently every day, and keep your loved ones close. Find something, anything, as long as it makes opening your eyes every morning worth it. But above all, stop just trying to get through your days. A man can live to 104, but actually have left long ago if he spent his whole life waiting for some destination. The days passing by are not obstacles in your way. The days are the whole thing.